Negative education. After this, you should educate yourself and your kids and your students negatively, not positive. What is negative education? Negative education is absolutely the opposite way of positive education. What is positive education? Positive education is that sort of education which is aligned with social norms, values, rules, and regularities. While negative education aligns with personal, individual wishes, plans, goals, and interests. What's the problem with positive education and why we call it positive and negative? Positive education is that thing which society accepts it and they say that's positive, while we call it negative education because the society doesn't accept it and consider it negative. That's why we call it negative education. So there are certain principles which they oppose each other, positive and negative education, and we are in favor of negative education. Firstly, in positive education, they say you should be aligned and follower of social norms and values, while in negative education say you should follow your own dreams, wishes, plans, goals, and your own interest, regardless if the community, the society accepts it or not, until and unless it's not against them. You're not going to fight them. You just want to be your own individual and respect your individuality. So that's called negative education. The second aspect of negative education is respecting freedom. Students, learners, kids are free of being dictated by parents, by teachers, or any other adults. Parents, even though they are the parents, but they are not the owner of the kids. Teachers, while they teach, but they are not the source of power to indicate what kids should and should not be. And negative education, there is one principle, not to educate at all. Sometimes, and most of the time, we don't need education to learn social norms. Society will teach us itself. We don't need school and university to go to learn what's going on with the society. Society will teach us naturally itself. So we need to be ourselves, our individuality, to respect that, to be our own way of living and thinking. That requires teaching and education. Nobody should be forcing students or kids to be the way that I am. They will be the way they are, and they're supposed to be. The other principle of negative education is natural education. In natural education, if, for example, teacher is teaching math, 2 + 2 is 4, they will show 4 objects, or like the fingers. Okay, these 2 combined, they become 4. Not to just say it unrealistically, the way which is difficult to understand it by verbally, just information. For example, if kids are supposed to study animals, they cannot study it in the classroom. They should go to the jungle, to the open environment, and observe the animals and learn from them. You cannot teach natural life and natural world into an artificial classroom. That's not true. That's funny. It's not going to happen, right? These are principles of negative education, which is also, it was firstly coined and presented by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, French philosopher. But we have our own principles adding to it, and we have our own understanding of it and the way we want to implement it. But firstly, it was given by Rousseau, a French philosopher. Also in negative education, it's important to understand the principles of encouragement and punishment. The biggest punishment and encouragement in negative education is given and taken the rewards, not punishing them physically, not humiliating them, not taking their individuality or their spirit because they make a mistake or they made a mistake. That's not the negative education. In negative education, rewards which are already given will be taken back because of misbehavior or any other problem that the kids show. Another part of negative education is unlearning what's already learned. It's like if somebody has taken a poison food, the doctor will help him to bring it back. In negative education, we have to unlearn all the negativities, all useless points that we have already learned. We have to unlearn them. That's part of negative education. At the same time, learning through experience, critical thinking, being open-minded,